it was built for the most part with Western values. Now why? What does that mean? The iPhone's encrypted. It's meant to be a privacy protecting device. Now of course when they added iCloud, you created a lot of problems, because as soon as you move your data to the cloud, now you have somebody has the opportunity to get after it. But at least on the iPhone itself, it's built to be hardware, software, integrated, encrypted, so that your data was secure, right? That's because it was built by Apple, an American company that values privacy, okay? So China figured that if the US could lead in 4G, it should lead in 5G, and it, actually started to think about this in 2009, 2008, before 5G even was a thing.
Yeah.
And the reason was they saw that the West had put their values into technology foundation of mobile computing, and they said, well, we want to control the standards and the technology foundation that drives the 5G world. Why? Well, our companies come from a nation that values privacy. Their companies come from a nation that absolutely does not value privacy. And so if you think about the alternative to the iPhone, which is, say, the Huawei Mate 10, right?
Right.
The Chinese law says, we need to have access to that. We need backdoors. We need backdoors in hardware, and we need backdoors in software. That's by Chinese law. And so if you look at the systems that are essentially in conflict today, there's two systems that really fundamentally bring this to mind. And one is the General Data Protection Regulation in Europe, and the Chinese cybersecurity law. Now, what is similar about those two laws? Europe is actually proud that they have an extraterritorial imprint on GDPR. In other words, it doesn't just apply to European companies, it applies to American companies, it applies to any company anywhere. If you're operating in Europe, then you have to abide by GDPR, right?
Right.
Well, China also has its cybersecurity law. It also has extraterritoriality. In other words, anywhere that China's interests are, and especially if you have an economic or financial relationship with China, which its global champions do, then it has to have its ability to get into the back door.
Essentially, it's full access
it's
for
full
the CCP.
access.
Right.
So the problem with the world, it's advancing so much, and our connectivity through our digital lives is advancing so much, that our ability to create laws in the West has gone past our ability to actually enforce them in a digital space. In other words, GDPR is a law that is unenforceable in a digital sense, because if you look at it, the behavior that they were trying to stop is still going on. Google's still doing what it's doing. Facebook is still doing what it's doing. It's because it can't be enforced. China is building their enforcement mechanism in the technology. And so that means that they can enforce it. They can enforce it on the network. They can enforce it at the device level. They can enforce it through their undersea cable system. They essentially are taking control of the underlying technological structure, because they recognize that just writing a law is not sufficient in a digital world. You actually need the ability to divert data, to decrypt data, to monitor what's going on. And then if you need to be able to suppress speech, you need to be able to influence populations, you need to be able to influence individuals. What more powerful way to do that than with a hyper-connected 5G system that allows you to have access to devices, that allows you to, your companies to be dominant in e-commerce, that allows your companies to be dominant in surveillance and reconnaissance like DJI and what's the video company? The cyber camera company that has artificial intelligence facial recognition. That's basically was sold in many of our military bases and others. So it is really looking at where the world is going and saying we need to build it at the technology layer, not at the paper layer that we're used to in a physical world, because just doing it at the paper layer is insufficient to actually control to the fidelity you want to.
So I've often said to people that some of the biggest successes, in quotes, the Chinese Communist Party has had is in its propaganda efforts and the United Front work and so forth.
Right.
Convincing people that it's big and important and powerful and economically bigger. And what you're describing here, I find very chilling, because in this sort of system, could the CCP just basically cut off certain data flows at the drop of a hat?